Checking the YouTubes. Make sure we're
This
streaming.
is episode 5 we just watched?
That was 4, right? Or was it 5? It's 4. Yeah, it's 4. I'm fairly certain it was 4.
Okay.
Let me double check, but yeah. Netflix. Hello, anybody out there? Anybody out there? On the live stream. Yeah, that was episode 4.
Okay. Shadow of a Doubt.
All right, we are live on Twitch. And I'm assuming we are probably live on YouTube as well. What's up, everybody? If you're out there watching, let us know. We're about to go live, do our podcast about episode 4 of season 2 of Altered Carbon.
Hello.
Hello? Talking to me? You all right?
No, I'm talking to our listeners.
Oh, sorry. The way you said it sounded like, hello? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so we're about to go live. Sorry, we're starting a few minutes late. We had some technical stuff to work out, but we're on. Let's do this thing.
Sure.
All right, I'm hitting record on my end for the podcast.
I've got record going on mine.
All right, whenever you're ready, my friend.
Today on Bingers Assemble, we are talking Altered Carbon, Season 2, Episode 4, Shadow of a Doubt. We get to experience a Harlan's Day separation. We have more people doing crazy things in different sleeves. We have a very odd but kind of explosive form of execution. And is Kovac back in his original form? All this and more right after an ad we have no control over.
Did you say Harlan Day separation?
I meant celebration. Oops.
If you just say that one word, I'll splice it in.
Celebration.
Try to say Harlan's Day celebration.
Oh. Harlan's Day celebration.
All right, cool.
Yeah, let me do the whole thing again. Hold on.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Today on Bingers Assemble, we're looking at Altered Carbon Season 2, Episode 4, Shadow of a Doubt. We have a Harlan's Day celebration. We're learning all sorts of things about Quinn's background and maybe even learning what the Elders were. And we're finding out, is Kovac back in his original form? All this and more right after an ad we have no control over.
Welcome to Bingers Assemble. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm Matthew S. Fox.
What's up, buddy?
Woof. Nice light episode, just without much to take in or discuss, right?
Yeah, man. Nothing really happened here. Nothing that bodes well for the future, or has any information about the future, or what's going to happen. Or I just couldn't really glean anything.
Yeah.
So we can get everybody caught up where we are. In case you're listening to this in the distant future, this is or you watched the show in the distant past. I feel like we're in some sort of time machine thing happening here.
We all are. But
this episode is the episode where he has finally been reunited with Kel. And honestly, there's a lot that goes on this episode. We kind of get the idea of Kel and the fact that she doesn't know herself, and Kovac embarks on trying to get them safely off planet, while Kel you realize that Kel is actually not just killing meths, but she's killing founders. And so what did the founders do? And then the big reveal is we get flashes of the mob boss's memory. I forget his name, but the mob boss's memory, and the mob boss says that the mob boss's memories show it appears that the founders may have caused harm to the elders, may have eliminated the elders, which is something we speculated last season, actually. So that's kind of fun, or at least that we speculated that humans may have done it. We didn't know that it was Harlan's world specifically, but yeah, right. This is a big deal, and now we know why there's active satellites above this planet. It's probably because there were actually elders on this planet when the humans got there. And yeah, so what do you think? What do you think of this episode, man?
Oof, there was a lot. There was I really liked this episode. We had a really nice moments between Kovac and Kel, which I really appreciated. We didn't get as much as Kel. Like at the start of the episode, I actually texted Matt in our Netflix party. Here we go. Here is the Falconer backstory episode that I really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that, but we did get more of her connecting with Falconer in ways that I really appreciated. I commented that I think that was the first sex scene we've seen with two people who genuinely like each other and don't have incredible, complex motivations.
Well, let me kind of push back there a little bit though, because yes, that's true. Well, I will say with the exception of the lake scene when Kel and he actually get together. But
that's true. Yeah, that was it.
Kel in this scenario doesn't remember who she is. So she kind of remembers Kovac, is starting to remember the boy inside the man or whatever, but like she doesn't know who she is. So it's kind of a weird scenario from that perspective.
It's definitely weird, but she says one, and like I think you could see it as she's kind of using him to, like as she says, just to feel something, to be in this moment. But she actually says something along the lines of that, like she doesn't. There's sort of almost like a sense memory, a body memory of that kissing him feels right to her in a way that she doesn't understand and doesn't know why, but it does feel right to her. I would say healthy romantic love scene in this show is maybe a low bar to clear. So maybe it's, there's certainly some complexities going on because this is a pretty complex show and we love that. But it definitely seemed, especially when contrasted with the scene we get at the end with the governor and her partner, where I'm having trouble, like, we'll often have like kind of bit characters get introduced and then fuck around with their sleeves. And so what I think happened is we met someone who was the governor's romantic partner. He noticed her checking some other guy out. And so now he's basically took that guy's sleeve to have sex with her in that. Is that what happened there?
Yeah, that's what happened. He stole it, apparently. I thought when she said it's illegal to steal a sleeve, I thought he was going to like, oh, I rented it from him. I borrowed it for the day or something like that, which I feel like would be a possibility in this world. Like you meet a guy on the street and just be like, can I borrow your sleeve for a few hours? I'll pay you this much money.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the other guy might not have had quite so much choice.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah, exactly.
But it certainly the two sex scenes we had, I thought were really a really nice contrast of like, Kel and Falconer are two people who are, at least on his case, not in the bodies that they started with, but because of their, romantic mental connection, soul connection, however you want to describe it, like there's a real thing there. Right. And the meths are more kind of playing sex games with other people's bodies. And so it was a really nice contrast between like the two perspectives.
I'm also assuming that Kel's body is probably it is her body. It looks like it's a clone of her body, but I'm assuming that it's not her original body because it hasn't been around in a long time. Right. So I'm really curious. But it
looks and probably feels to him like the original body.
Sure, absolutely. It just made me wonder, like this entire episode. I'm wondering, like, why is Kel here? So that's, I feel like, the biggest mystery so far. We know that Kel is killing founders. It seems that she's killing them because they were a part of a genocide against the elders. There's this symbol that the entirety of the protectorate doesn't know. So like nowhere on the array is that symbol found. So to me that seems like it's an ancient elder symbol, and it seems like it's something the founders know, and Kel knows. So I think that what we're seeing here, and we don't know yet, but I think that Kel is somehow channeling the founders, or the founders are using her. Yeah,
I'm definitely on the. Well, go ahead and finish your thought, then I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, they're using her, and it seems like almost as if, with her having amnesia and not remembering herself, it seems almost like they have risen her body somehow. Somehow the founders are working to use her body to bring down the people who killed them off, or something to that effect. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I was going to suggest a different theory, but I think you're actually suggesting the same thing. Because I think you keep saying the founders. You mean that the elders brought her back?
I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. Well, but you stole my thunder then, because that was exactly what I was going to suggest as well.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Yeah.
I definitely think, because Kel doesn't seem focused. She doesn't know what's going on enough to make me think that she has independently decided to do this.
Yeah, well, she doesn't know who she is or anything about her past, and she doesn't even seem to know why she's doing these things. Like she seems to be surprised when she finds out she's killed all these people, and that seems like she seems upset by it. And I don't know if that's her playing the part of Kel, of an amnesiac Kel, or if it's if she has like something akin to like a double personality where the elders take over and they make her hunt down founders when they get a chance.
Or there's some kind of like deep programming that they put in, kind of like some mental conditioning or something like that. Yeah, I definitely think that she is not choosing to do this herself, that whoever brought her back and found her this new sleeve, a clone of her original sleeve, that it was being done by the people who are pointing her towards the founders. And I really want it to be the elders. I would love for them to actually sort of come on stage in some real way. It may also be that it's someone who just knows about what happened and thinks the elders are the elder, what happened to the elders was terrible, and that wants revenge for them.
Yeah.
But certainly part of what I like about it is kind of building off of what I was saying on Monday. You now have a Falconer's revolution that's happening in her name, and you have her going around doing something kind of sort of tangentially in the same ballpark as what the revolutionaries want, but not in the slight, but for different reasons and a different thing. And so there's all kind of levels of complexity and different motivations.
Yeah, totally.
And I'll say similarly, we're now starting to get more of the governor and the colonel having very different agendas and kind of being against each other somewhat again. And I'm loving it. Like, I love seeing that kind of, like, clearly they're both terrible, terrible people. But seeing the two of them kind of like playing this, we have to be polite in person, but we're playing a chess game behind the scenes, I just thought was really cool.
Yeah, man. And she, as I've said in previous episode, I thought she, and especially this episode, when that okay, sorry, let me say that again. I had speculated in previous episodes that she might have positive motivations, like she might be a good guy in sort of a lamb in wolf's clothing, as it were.
Yeah.
And in this, it seems like that was all an act. I mean, I don't know why I kind of fell for it, but yeah, she. Especially when she releases all of those prisoners this episode, or when she goes in and stops them from being tortured, I was like, oh, yeah, she's trying to save all these people. And the girl being tortured, the girl who said "Long live Kelkris Falconer" last episode, which I loved seeing more of her. I was really sad to see her be tortured like that, and I was even sadder to see her die because I really want to know more about her backstory. I think we'll still get not necessarily hers, but like what kind of movement she was a part of and all that stuff. But when they released her, I was like, oh, she's saving all these, people. And they say something about, I'm honestly still confused about what's going on here, because she says these are prisoners in Section B, and I guess the Section B of the prison, and they said that's for political prisoners, which she's trying to hide from Jaeger. Anyway, I thought she was saving these people, and I was like, oh yeah. And then that the girl being tortured even said, I know what the prisoners scream here. And it made me think what the prisoners scream is "Long live Kelkris Falconer," or something to that effect. Like I was like, what do the prisoners scream here? And then
I think that there's some kind of secret that she knows that the governor doesn't want out. And yes. It might be that like the governor strikes me as that person who's going to be kind of on the hero's side, but not for good reasons.
Right. Well, that's definitely the case here. It seems like she's on the good side. She releases those prisoners, and you're like, okay, she may be good, and then she blows them all up at the end. You're like, oh no, she's sadistic and bad, like for sure.
Yeah, she just wanted to have them killed. I did think it was weird. Like, clearly, people on this planet love very spectacular executions.
Oh yeah.
What I thought was funny though is, I mean, you could just put a bullet in the back of all of their stacks.
Mm-hmm.
She ties them to the rockets in what I think is this incredibly symbolic, like, the angel fire will kill them, and on the celebration of Harlan's Day, we kill the people who stand against Harlan's world. But it doesn't seem like anyone knows about that except the colonel, which I was kind of like, why are you doing all this if you're not making it a big propaganda thing? So that part was a little confusing to me.
Well, it's also she's doing it like, it seems utterly sadistic, exactly, and like she's also doing it. And in that moment, when I see Jaeger see these people on the thing, he runs after them to stop them, and it seems like, okay, Jaeger is someone who is also after the truth here,
right?
And like that made it even more complex. The fact that you've got 3 different factions here, or way more than that, really. But these 3 different, you've got Kovac, who's trying to stop Jaeger and get away from Jaeger and all this stuff, and then now you've got a young Kovac, which we haven't talked about yet, but a young Kovac. Who has been re-sleeved into his original sleeve. They called him Evergreen.
Yeah.
And he brought in, what was the last line of the episode was something, "Good to see you, son. Welcome home," which shows that it's actually a double-sleeved Kovac from who knows how long ago, 200 years probably.
So let's get into that, because my mind was kind of breaking at that point, because I was thinking like this must be someone else who they're putting into Kovac's sleeve to fuck with the real Kovac.
That's what I thought too, but then he said, "What's the deal with the birth sleeve?" And then he says, "Welcome home, son." So
yeah, so is this the idea of like you can like sort of, I mean, like honestly, the thing that's coming to me, like we've talked about before about this all being like a video game, but most video games you play today, like you save every progress point, but they all stay saved, or at least a lot of them do. And you can go back and reload from like, way back earlier in the game. Mm-hmm. So is this sort of like they kept saving Kovac and they just reloaded him because they had like the save file from, before all this crazy shit went down?
Yes. So I think he saved him at the height of his powers as a NAC officer or whatever it's called. What's the I forget. CTAC officer. So like the height of his power when he's like most loyal to Jaeger, it seems like they like saved his stack so that he could bring him back later. I don't know why he had such a maybe that Kovac was just that good. Yeah. But this is pre Kelchrist Kovac though, so to me in a way this is not that threatening because this is before his envoy training.
So that's true. Yeah, it's still when he's like one of the most badass guys in the Protectorate, but
sure.
You're right, before that. Well, but here's the thing. I think the way I think that he could most be dangerous, and I don't know if the Colonel knows this, but is Falconer is clearly like slowly refiguring out her memories, but she does have strong memories of Kovac.
Yeah, that's true.
And she was having trouble connecting Kovac to this new sleeve, but she did eventually do it. But now she's going to see Kovac in the sleeve that her body and her mind remembers.
Yeah, but
I wonder if that's going to fuck with her somewhat.
Sure, but it's also a Kovac before. I think the way it's most dangerous is probably that Kovac himself might be conflicted, like killing himself, like the kind of innocent version of himself before he went through all of this, before he went through like hundreds of years of, war and problems and myths and seeing horrible things and making horrible decisions. Like it's almost like you said, it's going back to an earlier save point, and it's like, does he want to extinguish that? I don't know, because if they make it a thing where it's like Kovac fighting Kovac, I'll be kind of annoyed because he's, like I said, he doesn't have the envoy training. Like he should not be as powerful as the Kovac that we know. But they're gonna do something interesting with it. Mm-hmm. I think Jaeger has some sort of plan. Yeah,
no, that's definitely true. There's a lot. Yeah, I want to know. I want to know what the Colonel's plan is, and I really want to know more about what the Governor's plan is, because clearly, she's clearly really wrapped up with. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, yeah, you figuring something out?
What if the Governor is the one who brought back Kel and is killing off the Founders?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, she has a secret. So what if that secret is the same secret that Kel knows, that we now kind of know? And she found that out about her father. Maybe she forced her father to denounce, or something to that effect. Maybe she imprisoned her father in some way because of the sins of her father, kind of thing. Yeah, like that. And but she couldn't bring herself to kill her father, but she's killing all the other Founders. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she still wants the power, but wants to punish those responsible, but still wants the power.
Well, and especially because she has so many so many of the founders like look down on her. And this is kind of the same story that we were getting in season 1, but of where, children come into their own in part because their parents get old and have to step aside to allow the children to flourish. And, when the parent literally never does that, there's never a chance for the child to become a fully, realized adult. And clearly that's been a real tension with the governor because her father has stepped aside. Some people are kind of not sure if she can fill her father's shoes. And clearly a lot of the founders still look at her as a kid who they don't respect as one of her equals, as one of their equals.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just as possible that it's the elders. I think it's possible that maybe somehow the two of them are connected. But I all of a sudden now I'm wondering if the governor is a part of it because I could see the governor certainly having a big wanting to wipe out the founders' motivation.
One of the
I don't think it quite makes sense with the way she's treating them, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you could see a world where she believes the founders should be punished, but she just as much as any other meth doesn't value the lives of these people. So like she's punishing them, but not really caring about the collateral damage she's causing. And so she's willing to not just collateral damage, but like she's willing to snuff out lives of people. But she does seem to really relish the rocket deaths. Really seem to be a relishing of the killing of these people. So I don't know about that.
I mean, it's weird because on the one hand, like, yeah, that seems, like your feet are burning up in that rocket fire. It's got to be a terrifying experience, but it's also an end to your torture. So like,
yeah,
it's kind of the most sadistic mercy killing you could imagine. Like it's just the whole thing is a mind fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, trying to decide who's being nicer to those prisoners between the colonel and the governor, I think is that's a hard fight.
So she says, "I know what the prisoners scream," and she says that, and I'm assuming political prisoners in this case would be the mostly Kellist rebellion, and also. There's something going on with the trees, and so connecting all of that, I wonder if somehow. So I mentioned this last season that I had the theory that the trees might be somehow storing the elders' personalities or knowledge. Like we might still have the culture of the elders around in tree form. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in this episode, I think we got a clue to that because right as the mob boss is being murdered, as he's being murdered, the black veins like fill his face, and at that moment the tree behind him like lights up with like it's upset almost. And I think that we've got something going on with the personalities or the culture of the what am I trying to say, the culture of the elders is somehow being stored in there. And maybe we know that the Kellists in the past lived out in the forest, and I wondered if some of these Kellists have been in touch with the elders in some way and have communicated, and that's why the political prisoners scream about the elders and what the founders did, and that's one of the reasons that the governor knows, and one of the reasons this girl knows.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly make a lot of sense. Also, though, a part of this is the that dream that Falconer herself has, where all of the branches from the tree are. I was kind of getting a hentai tentacle feel from it, but it definitely felt like they're all kind of creeping up over her to kind of envelop her, and whether that's to kind of kill her or to keep her safe or to just hold her down, I'm not really sure.
I thought certainly... it was, in that same time when she says right before they have sex, she says, "Keep me here," and it shows her being thrown back into some sort of internal prison that she has. And I think that's the elders, the trees, or the roots of those trees represented the elders creeping over her body to take it over again. And then she's going out. Yeah, it makes absolute sense. So then suddenly she's gone. So I think that in her mind, the elders creep in, they take over her body. The real Kel is thrown into some sort of dark prison because she still doesn't seem to remember killing all these meths and all these founders, and that like people at the market or whatever. And so. And it seemed, I guess that when she holds their faces and the black the red spreads through their stack and the black veins appear. I guess that's some sort of virus that she can give them to destroy their backups, I'm guessing, because it seems like she's actually killing, RDing these people.
Well, I was wondering, is that kind of like a physical manifestation of the virus that she was using back in season 1? Or that she wanted to use to destroy everything?
It could be, but though that virus capped your age at 100 years, this virus seems like it is destroying backups and things.
That's true. Yeah, it is just to kind of like die right now.
Yeah, it's a die. Yeah, I think it's a die right now, and it's destroying the backups, which is a new thing. So, let's see. I definitely think Harlan is coming back. Like, we're going to get more Harlan. As soon as I saw the actor, Neil McDonough plays Harlan. He is a character actor who's in a lot of shows. He's on Arrow. He was in he played Dum Dum Dugan in the Captain America movies. So I just...
who did he play in Arrow?
Damien Dark.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I love that actor. Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a prime grade A scenery chewer. So
yeah, as soon as I saw him, and he says it in this episode, he does a little scenery chewing when he like walks in to see the elder being killed. It looked like, and he says "blood for blood," and then it's just that's all you get of him this episode actually speaking. But as soon as we were watching that the archaeologue Dig 301 was showing what the archaeologues were, it was on the Harlan's Day feed. That's what it was. But they showed his image, and I was like, oh, he is coming back, like for sure. Neil McDonough is not going to be on this show just to be the guy from the past.
I will say also, we've talked before about like the kind of exposition we like. Dig watching that video was like perfect exposition, especially because it wasn't just let's watch the video for 2 minutes. It was her watching the video and then us like struggling to hear parts of the video in the background while she and Poe are also having this great conversation.
Yeah,
like, it was a really nice way to give us that info dump, but in a way that felt very like real to what these characters would be doing.
I felt bad though because I really just wanted Poe to shut up, and I really cared about what Poe was going through. But every time he spoke, and I couldn't hear what they were saying about the archaeologues and the AIs and the digging and all that stuff. I wanted to know more and more about it, and he kept cutting them off to say things, and I was like, "What are you doing, Poe? Let the video play."
Yeah,
I want to hear their propaganda.
I definitely had that same feeling, but here we go.
But at the same time, Poe is going through such a crazy thing. The scene between him and Dig, when she says, "Oh gosh," he asks her to build, or she tells him that she believes she can back him up in a real way, and he says, "I couldn't ask you to do that," and she's like, "It's not an imposition; it's what I was made for." That whole thing, or it's not a burden; it's what I was made for. That scene, I was crying during that scene.
Yeah,
like that scene was really emotional and powerful and wonderful because Dig, the AIs in many like Lizzie says that he's the most human person that she's ever known. It was really touching to see the two of them interacting and her finding purpose in saving her like brethren AI. I really loved it. Really loved it.
That line of like a dig without a dig and a hotel without a guest. I mean, that really hit me hard.
Yeah, for sure. And also, we get Kovac also calls him a person, by the way. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
He says, "I've already betrayed one person today." And so even though he acted like he didn't care and he tried to pull the whole cold envoy thing, he said, "I've already betrayed one person today." He really believed that he betrayed Poe. And that was nice to hear because he's impossible at showing emotion to the people he actually cares about. He has to like tell it to some enemy on a battlefield,
Yeah, it didn't still work for me though. I was really. It's funny. I'm watching a TV show right now called Ozark, which is a very good show, very rough.
Yeah.
But it has some moments where characters get mad at each other so that there can be tension, and it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real to what I think the characters would be doing in that moment. And that was 100% how I felt in this. Like I after all they've been through, I didn't believe Kovac would just fire Poe that callously. it set up some really wonderful things, but that scene I think was a little, it didn't quite land for me. Everything else though did, so that was why it felt like a pretty small little quibble.
Yeah, I agree, except I guess it was okay for me because Kovac in the past has been so like rough in the way that he treats his partners, and the way that he like casts them off.
Mm-hmm.
Now like you can tell because of the boy inside the man, you can tell there's something there that really wants to embrace them, but like he doesn't, because of his training and because of everything else, and because of the hard man he's trying to be and the stoic man he's trying to be. Yeah.
I guess especially with like it seems so much of the hard man and the stoic man was about being separated from Falconer, and so with her back, it seemed hard for me to believe that that's still where he would go to. That her being in his life, especially, would sort of help him to kind of unlock that more connected side to him.
Well, but she's not back yet. He has her body, but not her mind, and the only way he's going to get her back really is if he completes his mission, and Poe keeps failing him. Poe says it in this episode. It's like, if it weren't for me, the circle wouldn't have happened.
Right.
This wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened. If I had done my job, like none of this danger that has been brought to Kovac and Kel would not have happened. And so
Yeah.
I think that's what he's prioritizing. Kel over Poe is what it really is. At least, see, that's the other thing. Is like, to Poe, it's an existential threat to be rebooted. To Kovac, like, he doesn't want his friend. I think there's a level that he really loves and he cares for Poe, but there's a level that he still thinks of him as a tool and an AI. And at this point, the AI is not doing. It's almost like he treats him like a car you really love. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I've been with this car for 20 years. I love my car, but it's not driving anymore. Like,
and it's funny because that's often at one point I typed to you during our chat while we're watching the show that Poe was really giving me funnily enough, I said the Doctor vibes, and I think you meant Doctor Who because I wasn't specific. I meant
did.
Doctor as in like the emergency medical hologram from Star Trek Voyager. Because it's that same, like, he wants to be a friend to people, and people mostly do that, but they also revert back to treating him like a tool, not like in an insulting way, but just like you said, like a piece of equipment when that's what they need from him. And that's Voyager, I think, is the best example I've seen of that, but I think that's a kind of a common theme in a lot of science fiction around either robotic or other kind of artificial intelligence. And so, yeah, I guess that does make some sense for Kovac, and I am imagining that by the end of the season, Kovac and Poe will have another kind of confrontation in which, Poe is able to show that he is still useful, but Kovac is going to have to some extent, apologize, or like acknowledge that he maybe was not fair to Poe. And I'll be curious to see how that plays out, because I think that's going to be an interesting moment for both of them.
I hope you're right, just from like I want what's best for Poe perspective, but from a storytelling perspective, I don't know if that's where we're going because of how Kovac has treated people and how disposable. Like, I almost could see a moment where he loses Poe, and that like he decides to go after Kel over Poe, or decides to retask Dig to do something to help Kel instead of continuing this process of saving Poe. And I'm sure, like, it's gonna be rough. There's gonna be some decisions that have to be made, and I think that Kovac might not make the best ones.
And I mean, we've got 4 more episodes, so I think all of that is likely. I'm not saying that's going to happen next episode. I think we're probably going to have a journey of these two getting a lot further apart, and then there being some kind of reconciliation by the end.
Yeah.
We definitely have a Matt Foggy kind of a situation on our hands here.
Yeah. But that, Matt and Foggy didn't really get back together at the end of the season. It took it took 3 seasons to get them back together, really.
Which is one of the few times I'll be critical of the Marvel Netflix universe, because I am. It's funny. Did you ever watch any of the USA shows that were big in like the early 2000s, like Burn Notice and things like that? I
did. I watched Burn Notice. I love Burn Notice.
I love Burn Notice. We're actually going to do an episode about ethical espionage, probably later next month, in superhero ethics. But what I love about Burn Notice is that there was a found family. There was a team. and they'd have conflicts every now and then, but at the heart and soul of everything, you had the team. And in the first season, we kind of talked about how like the team came together but never really stayed together. This is just kind of a frustration. I feel like part of the whole grim dark era of television is that the team never stays together because conflict is always the story you want to tell. And I definitely felt that with Daredevil, and a little bit here. Like I kind of just wish we could just have like all the other conflict going on, but maybe just our team dynamic could stay a little stronger.
Yeah, I think you need a balance.
So
it's hard because the thing that makes shows, I think, shows at their heights. Like a lot of times, the best season of a television show is when you finally get a real reason to make two characters that love each other go at each other, and like really be at each other's throats for some reason. But like you tell that story in a convincing way. But to get that moment, you have to have had time where they are close.
Yeah.
And I think of Buffy, for instance. It's like Buffy season 2. I don't know if you're a Buffy guy. Are you?
Yeah, very much so.
Buffy, like season 2 and 3 are my favorite seasons of Buffy. And it's when Angel becomes jealous, and there's like a big like it's bad because it's like the person she loves most is torturing her. But the reason that works is because you get a full season where they're falling in love. A full season and a half where they're falling in love and falling for each other. And then when that all, when he takes a turn for the worst, you're like, oh, this hurts because there was love between them. And it's the same thing with any of them. The same thing happens on almost every Joss Whedon show is great at that.
Right. But you have to set that default first and get us used to the default. So the conflict is the exception. Like Avengers is a great example of that. Like for the most, we've had a lot of good scenes and a lot of good parts of movies where the Avengers are all working together. And frankly, I wish we had kind of more of that. But even so, like, so that the conflicts stand out a lot more.
I don't know if like I'd have to argue with you on that, but yeah, like I definitely agree with your point on that. But when it comes to the Avengers, like the first movie, they barely get together. The second movie is Ultron. They kind of hate each other because he created Ultron. And then the third movie, they're already apart because of Civil War. Like, they actually don't have much on-screen time together.
Yeah, no, as I said that, I realized Avengers is actually one I wish would be more together.
Right.
Example. But, like, the Arrow team you mentioned is a good example.
Yeah, Arrow teams are great.
And to me, like, team. Avengers at least is better than Marvel Netflix Defenders.
It's hard because I'm sitting here listening to us have this discussion, and the shows that do it well, that I'm sitting here thinking of it do it well, are all shows I don't like as much. It's like, and I think it's a symptom of modern television where you're trying to tell an overarching story, and the idea of having a stable team that is kind of in the same place every episode is a artifact of serialized television.
See, I disagree because I think, like, to me, one of the Marvel Netflix shows I'd most disliked was Defenders, and that's because the team never really got together. We never really had them hanging out at the clubhouse kind of moments. Like with everything, I think, I referenced the grim dark. I think the move towards grim dark, I think, is very good, but I think television is really bad at saying, oh, those two things over there did something successful. Let's let a couple things be over there, but everything else stay in other places. What television and movies tend to do is say, okay, Breaking Bad went grim dark. Now everything's going to be grim dark, Yeah. And I think that's just the thing is I'm just getting frustrated with, and that, like, if Altered Carbon was more standing out, maybe it would be more. And again, it's not a huge deal. It's just I wish we had just more time for the team to be together. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think is one that I think you like more than I do, but I think definitely they pull it off quite well.
Yeah, they do. I do think it's I don't know. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing to have a team and have people that care about each other, but I do think that like there are shows that do it better than others. And like me and you both, Daredevil's one of our favorite shows. Like I at least for me, I think you'd feel the same. You feel the same way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it is one of the things it does poorly, and a lot of my favorite shows do that particular thing poorly. And I'm trying to square that. I'm trying to square that and be like, okay, this is the thing I do like. It's often like I guess the thing is you need small moments of it. The reason I think actually works pretty well on Daredevil is because you do get enough, to me, small moments, especially in that first season, of Foggy and Matt like really caring about each other.
Yeah,
So that when it happens, it feels painful to have them apart because you love them so much together.
Season 1, you do have a substantiated period of time of Foggy, Matt, and Karen all kind of working together towards the same goals.
Yeah, and so every other time they're not together, it feels a little painful.
Right. And like I said, like, I have no problem with it being it's that I want the reconciliation, and I want there to then be, some more time of Poe and Kovacs working together.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Anyway,
I want that too.
We're now way off into tangent land.
Yes, we are. Let's back to Altered Carbon.
It's a good discussion, and it's it kind of raises this larger issue that I'm sure we'll keep coming back to of like, how do you judge a television show as opposed to every other television show? Because I think to some extent, this particular storyline of Kovacs and Poe is probably a very good storyline. It's just that I because I see it so much, I wanted more of the team up,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm some of the dynamics that are coming together are really good. Most of them are. Like I'm really I keep forgetting her name, so I'm just going to keep calling her Misty Knight. But
her name is Miss Trepp. Is her
Miss
name.
Trepp, thank you.
I wrote it down this time because we had such a hard time last episode.
Yeah.
Which she's an archaeologue, which sounds like, I don't know, I'm really interested in the archaeologues and their AIs, as Dig calls them.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, how an archaeologue becomes a bounty hunter. Because I think that also means that she's probably quite old.
Well, it sounds like, so when the AIs were having a discussion about the dig sites, they did say that all the sites are closed now, but it didn't sound like it was that long ago. Like maybe they that's more of a recent turn that they finally shut down all the dig sites for the elders. Which, if that's the case, it goes well with this whole idea that the governor is maybe trying to cover up this information.
Oh, it's something
about
that was
the
found.
elders.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if she shut down all the dig sites, which I don't know if that's the case. I'd have to go back and watch that AI scene, and I'm not sure if they even say it. But if that's the case, then she's trying to cover up the fact that they killed all the elders, while also possibly wanting to kill all the founders.
Yeah. There's a lot of mystery still. A lot of mystery. That scene where we get like the look inside the Japanese gangster founder, like his memories of the terrible thing that happened. Did you have any, like, clearly something bad seemed to be happening to an elder, but did you get much more out of that? Because it looked like a pretty random series of flashes that I was having trouble putting together in any kind of cohesive narrative.
Well, the thing that we see is, we see Damien Dark saying blood for blood.
Right.
But we also see an elder that looks freshly dead, dying on the ground, and it is with all the men surrounding it. And at that moment, we actually just see like a rib cage or something. And at that moment, Kovacs has a flash of the elder fossil that he sees in Bancroft's office. So like it's him realizing it's an elder, and us supposed to realize it's a freshly dead elder. And so that's why I think it's that these people wiped out the elders in some way. And it sounds like, they probably killed them to take their technology, the stack technology. We know that they needed this planet. Like, this planet has most of the alloy that they need for the stack technology. While that elder is dying, when you see that rib cage, above it is one of those trees, like kind of surrounding it almost. And it made me wonder if somehow that it was downloading itself into that tree at that moment. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, it was definitely a bunch of random flashes. And so I don't think that we're supposed to know. I think we're just supposed to get those clues, which I think we have enough clues to really, we've really built the story just sitting here talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. And there's still so much to go. We have still 4 more episodes. So
yeah, man.
Which if I count right means we will, if we stay on our Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, we will finish at the end of next week, which will be great.
Yes. And then there is the movie.
Yes.
So we might, I don't know if we'll try to do that on the Monday and then just take the rest of the week off, or we'll figure something out. We might not do a live watch just because it's a lot longer. We might do.
Yeah.
We might do. Well, I don't know. You know, we'll talk about it.
What if I would like to take maybe make next week a little bit easier. But so maybe what if we did like we do the movie and discuss it on Monday, and then maybe like Wednesday we just do like a feedback episode, like give everyone a chance to kind of write in questions or thoughts, and we just kind of do a recap of everything we've seen about the show.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then kind of take the Friday off and then go into next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys have feedback, be writing it in. We'll do a full-on feedback episode, I guess, next Wednesday or so, and after we've all watched all the show. That sounds like a fun idea, especially now that we're at the end of Altered Carbon. We're getting there. We got 4 episodes left. I can't believe it. I can't believe we've gone
3/4 of the way
so
through.
far. Yeah, man.
I'm definitely gonna be like chomping at the bit. Do we know? Is there a season 3 coming?
I don't think we know, but I think it was very successful, so I'm hoping that there will be, and I'm interested to see who they'll cast, because I don't know the actor who played him Kovac in first season,
right?
But it seems like it'd be kind of a cool thing. You know, you talk about this a lot in different forms, but there are different ways. Like we talk about the Doctor Who thing, where you have sorry, just had myself looping in my ear. You can talk about the Doctor Who thing, where you have an actor be able to be changed out, and you don't have to keep the same actor around. So an actor, you can get a really good actor to sign on for 8 episodes of a thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that this has created another world like that, where we can have an actor sign on for, you know, whatever, a few episodes.
And it makes me really wonder. Like, I'm always curious in the behind the scenes stuff, like, did they have a 1-year contract with that actor who played him in the first season because they were always planning to go this way? Or was it that they that actor didn't want to come back for season 2, and so they realized they had a perfect opportunity not to? Like, I'd be really curious, kind of know, like, where was the chicken, what was the egg there?
Yeah, me too. That's interesting.
All right, we about ready to wrap up?
I got a couple little things here, and we got a couple of things of feedback. Let's see. Sorry, let me pull back up. I've got too many windows open. Trying to track feedback and this and that. Okay, I thought it was interesting when the governor talked to the little girl. I think this is a big sign into her character. She says, "If you love your father, grow beyond him." I think that was very telling of what she's trying to do, and what the lessons that she has learned.
Was that father the sleeve that her lover went into for their scene towards the end?
Oh, yeah, you think you're right. The actor played it so differently that I didn't even catch that. I knew that it had to have been someone she'd seen, but I didn't catch that. But you're right. Yeah, it was. Good call. Good call. I thought it was an interesting thing when Kel sees herself for the first time and sees the Battle of Stronghold and sees herself through the media. I thought it was just an interesting thing to, like, only have the media's view of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was just an interesting, like, moment of the show.
That moment where, like, she's reading all these things saying she's a murderer and a terrorist because that's how she's been portrayed, and poor Kovac is trying to explain, like, no, that's not, that there's a different side to it.
Yeah. I thought the moment, just like from a purely great action moment, I love when the founder that I can't remember his name, we didn't get to know him very well, but the founder that gets on the elevator and then they do the focus pull to show Kel behind him. Oh man, that was some good cinematography. Oh, that was good.
A great shot.
It was a really wonderful shot. Okay, yeah, I think that's all my my notes here. Let's see.
Yeah, so we got some feedback.
Oh, one last thing. I really liked that Poe seeking Falconer's counsel and saying how Kovac has always valued her counsel. How can he value my counsel? I've been dead for hundreds of years. And he says, "Oh, well, a piece of you stayed with him." And I've been talking about the idea of seeing the real Falconer versus this idealized version, and it was interesting to see it through Poe's eyes instead of getting that discussion through Kovac's eyes. We got it through Poe's eyes and what he thinks Falconer is like because of the things that. So he thinks she's a wise, sage person because of that. I thought that was a really interesting way to do that.
And I'll say that really threw me because I thought it was going to be very different, because I thought that, Poe had just lost his guest. He was a hotel without a guest, so he was kind of having no purpose. And one thing we had found before that he found real purpose in was being able to basically be the mental rebuilding for Lizzie. So I thought that was about him trying to like have another patient who he could take care of the way he took care of Lizzie, to kind of help Falconer rebuild her memories, kind of rebuilding her stack somewhat,
Oh yeah.
while also finding a purpose for himself. So that was a happy surprise moment where I was like, oh, okay, no, he's here for himself. He's not here to try and help her.
Oh, I love that interpretation of that scene though. The possibility of that scene going that way. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad they didn't do that. Like especially like maybe she convinces him it's okay to give up, and then he goes, "But you need help, and this is who I am." You know, that is an interesting.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I'm a hotel without a guest, but really my most meaningful thing I ever did was help Lizzie, and so
Right.
That's my real purpose.
And in some ways, if he had done that this time, it would have felt wrong to me, because not like wrong for the character, but I would have had trouble with it because, there's a really dangerous thing of sort of feeling like, I don't feel like I know who I am. I need to go find somebody to fix. Like that's all kinds of codependence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so the fact that it didn't go that way, but that maybe now she'll be the one to come to him and say like, can you help me? Like, yeah, I could see the two of them having a really nice connection there.
Yeah. Oh, the line he had at the end of that conversation was beautiful. She basically convinces him to reboot himself. Tells him that it's going to be okay if he reboots himself, and like there will be land under him. He will be himself down under,
Right.
even if it's not on the surface. And then he says, "Thank you for making it poetry," because that's just so Poe. Oh man, it's just a great line.
It was gorgeous. It was really powerful.
Yeah. Over on YouTube, Drew Gretsch says,
I will just say I will now not use it, but you also just stole my thunder a little bit, because that was going to be my sign-off line. Thank you for making it poetry.
"Oh yeah, go ahead and use it. Go ahead. Why not? It's still good."
There you go.
All right. So Drew Gretsch over on YouTube said, "I thought this episode did a great job of showing what gender means in this universe, showing the sun being in a girl's sleeve." I didn't catch that. Was the sun in a girl's sleeve?
No, I didn't.
I thought that was a boy's sleeve.
Wait, whose son are we talking about?
I'm not sure. Drew, if you're still out there, let us know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was talking about the little boy or the son. Who's the son? Man, I missed that. I missed this moment.
So much that happened in this episode.
Dang. Sorry, Drew.
But...
We're bad podcasters. Drew also says it was so sad when Kovacs fired Poe. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that was hard.
That was really hard to watch, and just a beautiful, like the storyline of Poe through this entire series has been one of my favorite things. But this episode was like, even though it was definitely the B plot of this episode, it was the most important thing in this episode to me. I loved it so much. We found out so much about the history of the world, and I still just really cared what Poe was doing. I really loved what Poe was doing in this episode. And
he's becoming, I think, the most emotionally relatable character in a lot of ways, and I'm really here for it.
Yeah, I'm totally here for it. Talk about,
if nothing else, isn't he the only actor from season 1 who's a regular on season 2?
Except for Kel, I guess, but you're
well, that's why I said a regular. I mean, there have been a couple of bit, smaller parts.
Yeah,
like,
Kel in the original Kovacs sleeve has been around almost every episode for the whole series, but he isn't one of the current team. So your point is very taken. For screen time's sake, like he is by far kind of the main character of this show. Misty's son. He is talking about Misty's son. Was Misty's son in a girl's sleeve? I didn't catch that.
Oh. That's interesting.
I thought it was a little boy's sleeve, and I don't know why I missed that. So you may be right, Drew. I didn't catch that it was a little girl's sleeve.
But I think Drew is making a much broader point, which I think is very correct. And we've kind of talked about. I think I talked about this some on season 1 when we were talking about season 1. Like, our current world defines gender by physical appearance, and a lot of the stuff about the transgender understandings of life is really kind of pushing on that and saying like, is that always the case? And I love that it's in subtle ways, like we're getting more and more of those. Like how does gender connect to the gender? How does the gender of your mind connect to the sex of your sleeve? There's just I want to go back and rewatch that and see like because I remember there was some tension there, and I want to kind of see what's actually happening there, because that seems like it's a fun little dynamic.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't see it. I just thought it was a little boy's sleeve, and maybe it's because they were calling him a boy, and then I just didn't even notice that it was a female body. I guess I'm so woke. I'm all the way Altered Carbon woke, you guys.
No, it makes us woke. Honestly, there was so much else going on.
I'm just teasing. I'm pulling the old. I'm sorry.
5 other major plot points.
I'm sorry, Matthew.
Yeah.
I don't see gender.
Anybody want to co-host a podcast with me?
Okay, guys. Thank you for listening, and thanks for responding to that, Drew. That was fun to like not understand feedback and then go, "Hey, what was that, Drew?" And you go, "It's this." That's fun.
The live recording like this is awesome. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, everybody who's writing in.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will be back soon. We are Bingers Assemble. If you are enjoying this and you want to join us for the live stream of the shows, the Netflix parties, we're doing four or five more of them. Just join us over on the Patreon, patreon.com, and search for MCUcast or Superhero Ethics or DC On Screen. They're all available. Is it patreon.com/Superhero Ethics? Is that the?
I believe so. Yep. That's
cool.
where it is.
Yep, that's what it is for MCUcast as well, /MCUcast. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Peace.
Matt, thank you for making it poetry. You should go ahead and edit out that part where I said I was going to say that.